Chucky was the type of cat, man. He ain't gonna beat you up. He was, obviously, I used to go up to Crenshaw with Chuck, man, you know, when he had to go Continental, suicide doors and all that. And he used to get CDs. CD players, there's a bracket. I said, man, I want me one of those things to go up there and get out of the car. The niggas was scared, the niggas was big, and they would give it to him. So he never really hurt nobody. The only person he ever hurt was his pit bull. When his pit bull lost a fight, he shot his pit. That was it. That was the toughest I ever seen him do something. You know, but Chuck, you know, he wasn't a bad guy.
Now, I know you don't glorify gangbanging. We're just giving some history and telling some old stories.
So what was going on with Perry Manuel and them on the other side of the tracks at that time?
Perry Manuel and them started coming to the functions with us too. Because during the Crenshaw takeover, you know, taking Crenshaw. But before that, he was friends with Odie and Odell. So he was already hanging with them. So whatever conflict that Odie was in, Perry's gonna be in it too. Or I'm gonna be in it too. I'm gonna ride with them.
In a roll called the Crips in the 60s, before the sets, north of Florence. Horace Mann area on back, Normandy, Western. Who was cripping back then in those early days?
As soon as you got the Horace Mann in 1970, 71, as soon as you got there, he became a Crip. So the guys who first became Crips that I remember, Big Rick, he became a Crip. Moncrief, he became a Crip. Bad News wasn't a Crip, but he went to the school at that time. Perry Manuel had already left the school. Odie and them had already left. They were already gone.
We go back to 1970. When I first got to Crenshaw, turning the corner, here you come with 10 dudes following you. And then in the lunch area, your people started mixing with my people, and all of us was cool with each other. You couldn't touch us.
Right.
You understand? You couldn't touch us. We was too powerful.
Right. And tell you what year that was?
That's 1970. 1970, because that's when I got there. I was 14. I turned 15 in 71 in January. And so I was there from 70 to 73. And you're like, I think you're 2 years ahead of me, so you've been there out in 71, I think.
Right. And I told my boy, how did I used to act up there?
Oh, shit, man. You ain't just shit tight. Boy, you do whatever the fuck you want to do.
So they became Crips after that. And you gotta realize,
Who was cripping before the bishops and the Van Ness boys over there?
oh yeah.
All that. I wanted to know what the landscape was.
Oh yeah. You had Odie, you had Perry Manuel, you had Raymond Potts. All of these dudes they became Crips. There was no front hood. There was no back hood or anything. You know, but all of these dudes all of these dudes started being Crips in 1970, 71, right around there. Even later 72. You know, and then on. More the gangs started evolving more. Everybody started putting their name in it, you know, and putting their take on it.
Then you went to Washington?
Yeah. Washington was a school that was predominantly Crips.
Yeah.
You know, and so when I checked Jermel that day, I wanted to know what city he was from. And I didn't hate the brother. It was just that I'm pushing up on him because I didn't want other gangs to be coming in there putting people in danger. It was my job. I felt it was my job, you know, to go and actively seek out, you know, new, you know, people who registered, find out where they was from. And then I went to Crenshaw. Buddha told me to start it up at Crenshaw. He said, I want you to kick off it down there. And he said, I want some more homies to go there. So this is 70, 72. You know, Buddha was still alive. Babyface, I had already flipped Crenshaw when Big Rick and Babyface got there. So that's why I know history. See, Buddha sent me to Crenshaw to flip it. Tookie sent me to Horace Mann to turn it into Crips.
So when you met Babyface, where was he from?
Babyface was a Horace Mann Crip. Yeah, I was Horace Mann Crips first.
My last year of Horace Mann, 1972. I left Horace Mann and went on to Crenshaw High School. Started my first year at Crenshaw. It was like 1972, 1973.
So before the 60s formed, you're at Horace Mann in what years?
It had to have been 8th grade. 74?
And there wasn't no particular sets there, just a bunch of baby Crips?
Just about the baby Crips.
What year were you at Horace Mann?
72, 73, 74, 74, 75. 75, 76.
You started at Crenshaw.
So that's when Rustin, Houston, all them used to be at Crenshaw, mold them.
What was the first high school you landed in?
Crenshaw.
And what year was that?
In 75.
And what gangs were at Crenshaw when you landed there in 75?
Predominantly West Side Crip. We had a few Van Ness Browns.
So when you first landed at Crenshaw High, the hood hadn't formed yet?
It was just formed. It was just coming in the factory.
So what year was it when you got over here to this house?
I guess about what, 70? I guess about 73? About 72, 73?
And there was no Rollin 60s or A-Trade Gangster at that time.
No, that was about to form about, I guess, a couple of months after the fact.
Yeah,
that was like coming real fast.
Well, West Side was still pretty known.
No, the West Side was known, but you didn't have the individualism by then. Who was your Crip influence in the Crenshaw district that made you guys go that route?
Keeping it real, Raymond came over there. He seen how tight our little situation, how tight we were.
But you guys were, at that time, you guys didn't have a name for y'all group, so what made Raymond even function with you guys at that time?
See, look, Trump. Like this.
The West Side Crips over there were.
Terry was West Side Crip. That was Sneaky T from West Side Crip. They don't want to say he wanted to bring it to the city. They don't want to say.
They want to play. They want, hey, that's the rookie. They don't know no better.
Squally Davis was the first major influence in the back part of the hood.
And Squally was my friend. And like I said, I meet people through conflict. So I met Squally. I had to rough him up a little, but it wasn't nothing real bad. I knew Squally's brother. He was my friend. Squally lived on the corner house. We used to be in his backyard. I'd be testing my gauge back there.
I remember Carlos and Squally had a fight, don't you?
Over what?
Squally called him a bum. Loopy. All this shit is real. We on Fifth Avenue one time. I get out of bed, right? I chill motherfuckers. Look, that nigga can't be so. You can't sell dope over here, nigga. Who is you? Nigga, I'll give you an hour to get down and fuck out of here. Loopy and bullshit is cool. I ain't got it. Nigga, you got to get up out of here. Nigga, Sneaky T just told you so, bro. When I come back, Loopy, hang that nigga up on the nail. There's a tree this out with a big nail. Got root. Sit up there for a minute. You know, man, you don't know that.
They was kind of like the godfathers of the hood. They was kind of like the hitters, but they weren't really from 60s, though.
So you landed in the 60s, in 1971?
Yeah, but it wasn't the 60s. It was West Side.
Who was your original crew when you landed over here? Who was your running mates when you first started running around here?
Well, I gravitated across Crenshaw. My running mates was across Crenshaw. Because I had went to Horace Mann and became close with Babyface, with his brother Huey, with his brother Slew.
Slew, what year were you born?
56. 1956.
And what about your baby brothers?
Face was born in 57, and Huey was born in 59.
And I gravitated to Arlington. Big Red, John L., Joe Rat, Killer G brother, Poochie, Snoop, Keystone, his brother. Crip, his brother, QT, Bayard, his brother Derek, all them down there in the front, Bad Habit, his brother.
Horace Mann was right around the corner. All right, so when you moved over here, who were some of the first cats you met? So like I said, my boy Shyster, he stayed across the street. Around the corner, you had my boy Daryl Colson, D-Loco, Mumpy, they stayed around on 68th. My boy Manuel Player, he stayed around this corner. Shit, my boy Johnny Hall, he passed away though. My boy Ken Bone, he stayed around the corner also. We was all like in this whole group. Then when I went to 74th, that's when I ended up being like Mike Moncrief and stuff like that, Ronnie Pace. So around what year did you start to gravitate towards real cripping? Horace Mann. So we're talking about 7th grade, 12 years old. 7th grade.
K-Dog, Mumbles, Big Rick, Go-Eye, Tyrone. You had all the Springers. It might be 15 in that one house, but you got like a bunch of brothers out of that house. You know what I'm saying? Then you had Lil No Good. You had Ronnie Pace, Ray Pace.
Keep Rollin, keep riding. Rick Ride, Roach, Big Mom, Boo, Perry Manning, Otis Shaw,
Killer Gene.
Killer Gene, he got his name for being who he was, man. Killer Gene was a real cat. I love you to death, man. I hate that he had to leave the way he left. But Killer Gene was. See, you don't get these names, bro. Just to have a name. You got to earn these names, man. These names to be earned. You just ain't gonna be chop off here, kill it, and you ain't cut a ice cream in half or nothing. Ice cream soft thing you cut in half. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't gonna get them names, man. This is the beginning.
I don't really know how many homies know him, but Kyle is a righteous homie. It's like he had a major influence on a lot of the homies that were in the second generation. And Kyle is old man's big brother. That's Dane's big brother. So some people call him Yodi. That became later. But his name is Kyle. Then you had Kyle them, it was a little more deeper. Because they had the Gene Keith them, Coochie them, Patrick them, a bunch of them. Then you had us and our thing. You had Snoop. It was just a whole lot of everything. Motor Mouse. And another homie named Alex. I looked up to Alex because Alex was real cool. Alex was real fly. He had the perm. Alex knew how to get at the girl. Me, Pie Face, the homie Big Fee, Ronnie Pace, Doe-Eye, Anthony Hatcher, all the Hatchers. You had the Cheatums. You had Robert Johnson, even though he didn't last long. You had Curtis. You had T-Mac. You had it's a bunch of people over there.
Like Nikita, Mad, Mad was another cat. Monster Kid. You're right, there's a couple other guys, even a long time ago, Freddie, all these cats was somebody around here. They all grew up from P.D. Wax, the good cousin Carries and all that type. There was a gang of little youngsters around here. And I try to put them all up below, I put a lot of them, doing the things they were doing. Some things we did good, some things we did wrong.
Rick them started way before me. They started, before me. Him, Baby Hewitt, Baby Face. They was like the big homies. I was just sitting watching them and while they was doing their thing in the cars and with the pistols and shit. Me, Joe Rat, and Keystone, we had the little dirt bikes and the zip guns. You know what I'm saying? So, we was just learning from them. Rip all of them. Quentin, QT, it was a gang of individuals over there. But like I say, back then it was more like it was more like a family atmosphere. Niggas wasn't tripping. You know what the gang banging mentality is. It really ain't nothing like. So and everybody go through their tests. You know what I'm saying? So growing up, being a young nigga, when we growing up. Old niggas test, we going through the test, they trying to see where your heart at and everything else. So, it was like a growing stage. Them niggas was my big brothers or some shit like that, just teaching me the ropes. So, but it was all love.
And by 1973, there was wars. Everybody had their own neighborhood established. Wasn't nobody taking no jackets no more, which started all this. Wasn't nobody taking shoes or robbing each other. It was all by identity. He's from over here, he's from over here, and now you just going at your targets, and it's just a war going on now. All the other stuff that played out.
So khakis was already considered the gang attire back then?
Khakis and crocus hats.
Starting in the end of 72. Oh, where you from? Oh, I'm from A-Trade Gangster. Oh, I'm from in Hood. I'm from the 30s. I'm from Harlem. Then the language started getting into that. But it always had identification where you knew, because the end of the word had Crip on it.
Ask you something. When you move on 10th Avenue in 1973, the actual set, Rollin 60s, wasn't really in its stages yet. It was a whole bunch of different things going on around there before the actual Rollin 60s set consolidated the area. Do you know anything about the little history prior to
When I moved over there, you had the neighborhood.
Who brought neighborhood to the Crenshaw district? Whose idea was that?
You know, like Face them and Rick them, they brought it to us, Cal them, our neighborhood.
Raymond Potts had some influence on us too.
Yeah, with the 6-5 neighborhood.
It was already there.
6 Deuce neighborhood with the hatchets.
And that was just a block. Anthony Hatchet them on 6 Deuce, it was only 3-4 motherfuckers down there. Like, Anthony Hatchet them, they wanted to be 6 Deuce neighborhood Bleezer. Neighborhood Crips. You know what I'm saying? So,
Do you know a guy named Anthony Hatchet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a real figure from the 60s.
Tell me,
Anthony and Eric,
where'd they stay at?
at least 62nd and Cimarron, the dead end. I seem to remember some 62nd Street neighborhoods.
And that predates the homies?
That was kind of like neck and neck. Anthony was a real figure.
Man, Slew, you mentioned when you was at Crenshaw that you had ran with the 5-6 syndicates. We have a party house on 62nd and Cimarron where the Hatchers live at.
Right.
Were you part of that party house?
Yeah, I used to go over there. Edmore used to throw parties. The Hatchers used to throw parties every weekend.
yeah. Even on 630 Crenshaw, they tried to start 6 Trey Hoovers. Then Kojak them on 10th Ave tried to start their own neighborhood, get down. Look. This is what I know. When I'm here in 6-5, I'm here in West Side neighborhood, right? For me, when I started writing West Side neighborhood, I was in the 9th grade. That was 74. That summer we started. That was 74, 75. When I was at Horace Mann, I was in the 9th grade. That's when we was writing West Side neighborhood, right? To my knowledge, it was like West Side Crip. That 6-5 might have started. You gotta talk. But yeah, I remember them being significant. You know what I'm saying? But at Horace Mann, I don't remember nobody's writing 6-5 on the wall.
So when you met Face and all them, they was West Side at the time?
Yeah, we pushing West Side.
What's the origin of your name? Where'd that come from?
I used to roll with a dude named Black Cat. We went through a slossing phase then, where we were trying to find our own identity, our own little clique between Bryanhurst and Chester.
Right. And what was the name of y'all clique?
We used to call ourselves Slossing Gangsters.
What year was this?
Must have been like 74. We tried to spin away as Baby Crips.
Why were you guys on Arlington? Why Rick's house? Why?
Because Rick and Babyface was real tight. But you know what I mean?
At this point in time, we're not rolling 60s yet. We're just a bunch of kids on Arlington.
When we was on Arlington, we was a neighborhood Crips. You talking about as far like the Arlington gangsters, the AG block?
No, I used to go through the Arlington, but I didn't hang out with Arlington. We go through there, holler at them. But as far as me hanging out with Arlington, no, I didn't hang out with Arlington. Yes. But at that point in time, you got to keep in mind, we was just 15 years old. At that point in time, myself, 14, 15 years old. You know, so the guys in Arlington who were younger than me, some didn't live over there at that time either, you know, or younger than me. They seen us coming, you know. And then by the time sisters got put together, then they got on board.
So you had the Avs, like F6 Troop on 6th Ave.
Give me a roll call of the Hilltops.
It was two main brothers, because I was just crossing the line in the 211s. And these were some of the coldest dudes with the 211 hand, the Vons.
When did you first hear of Crips west of West Boulevard?
Shit, 1974. It's Willis Vaughn had started a gang up there in the Overhills, and they wasn't Crips. They were just Willis Vaughn had started a gang. Well, Willis Vaughn was down dude, so he had started a gang in the Magnificent Seven. We were at a party one night, and we ended up fighting with him. And Willis went and got this gauge. This is how we ended up fighting with him. The party was over his house. He lived on the corner. And this is when Willis Vaughn's dad was living. Willis Vaughn lived in a nice, big old, pretty house. So these dudes had more money than the wooden houses where we came from. So we banked up in the party, 7 style. And Willis didn't like it because we were like, pushing up in his neighborhood real hard. We didn't know him, and he didn't know us. And so Willis went and got the gauge. And so Mouse called Willis out. And Willis had the gauge. I had a gauge too. So he wasn't the only one at the party with a gauge. So we regulated with the gauges who's going to fire first. So no one wanted to fire first because we both had them leveled at each other. So it wasn't until some months later I ran into Willis again. And I said, hey, man, which set are you really from? What are you? Are you this? Are you that? He told me, no. I said, then why don't you be a Crip? And he says, well, Warlock? I says, yeah, the OG Warlock. I said, yeah, I know Warlock on the picture with Tick and them in the Bob Simmons newspaper. He said, yeah. I said, where you know him from? He says, man, he go with my sister. I said, well, shit, what the fuck? I said, all right, then, you want to be a Crip too? He said, I don't mind, I'll be a Crip, man. I said, all right, we got to initiate you in a little. So we initiated him in, and then the Overhill started.
And those were the gangs in the Crenshaw district?
There was some BMGs and, scattered.
When Kyle them briefly, Snoop Dogg, they briefly claiming Van Ness briefly. You gotta ask Kyle that. They was Crips, some of them was Van Ness boys. In the 90s, you had the Baker boys when Snoop them was claiming that shit.
Were you guys ever allies with the Van Ness boys?
No.
As bishops?
No.
Were you guys ever allies with the Brims?
No. We knew them. We were never allies with them. There was West Side Crips, and then there was the Van Ness gang in the hood.
So West Side,
like Perry Manuel. Perry Manuel used to go to the park too. Perry used to go to the park. Everybody used to go to the park that wasn't scared because of the Van Ness gang. You know what I'm saying? But had their own mind. That they wasn't part of the Van Ness gang. Gene too. Killer Gene, Loopy, Loopy, I stayed across the street from Loopy on 5th Avenue. Loopy was there? Yeah, Loopy. Yeah. Without a doubt. The Beasleys. Yeah.
Though it may have been short-lived, if true at all, according to a 1973 newspaper article, a member of the Brims was cited as saying the Brims, the Van Brims, and the West Side Bishops had joined together to commit robberies.
And you had bishops, West Side Bishops. Lucky was over there at that time on 10th Avenue, right up the street from me. So you had a group of bishops, because over there at that time also you had Kincaid that was staying on the other side of the school, up in the avenue, 2nd Avenue. Those were original Crips, all up in there. Raymond Potts was on the other side, Odie and all them. And then you had some of them that were claiming West Side Bishops, because I had never heard of them. I heard of the East Side.
Also at this point in time, we had some guys coming over from the east side. Bobby, Jimmy, Space Ghost. These guys were coming over from the east side because when their homeboys had moved on the west side, named Lucky had moved over to the west side, and he had actually become part of us at the same time, being part of them. And they were east side, they were known as east side bishops.
do you remember when the bishops in the Rollin 60s area have formed?
That had to be around 1973. Brother Lucky had moved from our neighborhood, and he moved to the west side, and he started Bishop over there, and we became very close.
About how old was Lucky and
he lived in your neighborhood and moved west?
Yes, and Lucky was probably about 16. He was about 16 when he started Bishop over there in the 60s. We older than those West Side bishops. They were 14, a few 15-year-olds. We're 16, 17, 18, and 19. And we rugged.
So a lot of us kind of gyrating the guys that coming over from the east side, the Bishop, Jimmy, Bobby, Space Ghost, before we started the West Side Bishops.
Who were some of the guys Lucky recruited?
Well, it was Lucky, Mark Bolden, Bad News, and Big Huey that ran the West Side. There was KC.
Lafayette and Kenny on
Kenny Scrabnier, Troy Hicks, and Iceberg was there. Those guys always came back and forth to our neighborhood. Those mentioned guys right there, they were the main West Side bishops.
You guys were actually mingling and going to the east side.
We would go over there for meetings. You know, when they called us over there for a meeting. But, you know, they would come to the West Side and, you know, hang out. But mainly we did our own thing because we hung out with the Crips over there.
I never know no damn babyface to be no bishop. I went down in Bishop to it and turned Lucky and them out. We went up to Lucky's house and told Lucky, we told Lucky that you're not gonna have bishops here.
Did you know anything about the West Side bishops? I know the homie Lucky was starting. He was running, but he was like supposed to start them. But I went to prison. I got my case in 73, and it was going to like 77, 78. When I got out, to me, they had lost a lot of ground because, to me, the reason why I think so was the East Side didn't support him like they should have.
Had the West Side bishops called us because they were having problems with those Crips in that neighborhood, we would have come.
At first, Jimmy and them would support him a lot, but sometimes you call it your own game. You can't go over there like that. But they end up being like 60 years apart. West Side bishops, nah, they don't got no good no more. You know what I mean?
And so if we'd come on the West Side, it would have been ugly. And it would have been so easily if it had been gunplay, it would have been so easy for even Ghost to have shot and killed his own cousin, not recognizing him.
And Space Ghost, he was my cousin, you know. So and even though these guys were my cousins, and I had friends within these sets, I'd still fight them. You know, it didn't matter.
And we would have hated that. But see, I didn't know Cutes now, and I didn't know anything about the West Side Crips. But if they'd have called us, then we would have come.
How did you even come across Babyface?
I met Babyface, I guess, fighting.
At that party in Lucky's.
Fighting. Conflict. I never knew Babyface was a bishop until you told me. I didn't remember Slew. I didn't remember Slew, and I didn't remember Babyface, and I didn't remember his brother, Huey. I didn't remember them as bishops.
So look, even Bad News acknowledged that the bishops were bumping heads with the Crips.
A lot of people don't want to talk about it. You know, they don't want to talk about the fight. They don't want to talk about what happened that night at the party. He had the courage to give a party. We all know what.
And in fact, me and Lucky got into a confrontation behind, I need to know where you from. And he told me he was from Bishop's. And I asked him, I don't hear Crip on the end of that. So you telling me you like Space Ghost? You're an East Side Bishops like them? That's exactly how that conversation went. He said, yeah. And told him, well, don't be here tomorrow. And we met up tomorrow, the next day, got into it.
He gave a party, and T-Bone, Raymond Potts, me, Loose Booty, the crew. We showed up. There was a lot of them. They had a little bit of a crew. They ran into Odie and us. Because you got to remember, we was pushing up into Sidnella Park. When we would walk through them avenues, we came through to ask you what set you was from. When we asked you what set you was from, we wanted to know what set you was from.
We were searching for an identity.
Your brothers always tell me y'all got boots.
Because we came at him up. We could be Bishop Crips.
And what was Lucky's response?
Yeah. Okay. That didn't work out though, man. We went to a meeting on the east side. So when they found out we was claiming Crips on the end of that, we went to a meeting. And they tried to rush us.
The east side bishops.
Yeah, the east side bishops.
What you mean they tried? Either they did or they didn't.
We ran. I ran. We ran.
And that was the end of the bishops on the west side.
The bishops on the west side.
Okay, at that point in time, with the conflicts going on, we start banding together. You know, we wasn't just gonna get beat up. You know, so we start banding together, sticking together and fighting back. Eventually, what happened? A group was formed called the Leaders. Right there in the neighborhood, right up by 4th Avenue.
You guys have multiple shacks in the hood, right?
No, at this time,
Gunga Shack was the shack.
that was the shack.
4th Ave and 70th.
Hold it, man.
That was one of the thoroughways because you got to keep this in mind. 4th Ave, when you come across Florence, 4th Ave is like the main street to go from Florence all the way down to Slauson.
4th Avenue going toward Florence, a couple of blocks. Florence is like 70th. We were the White Mountain.
We had Hoover Clarence. Hoover Clarence was the leader of the Leaders, a gang that had started in the 70s. And he became a Magnificent Seven when I joined the Leaders up with the Magnificent Seven. Some came and some went back to being Inglewood family. And that's how that went.
Did they ever turn the 60s or just within a while? No, turn the 60s, but just West Side Crips.
Bishops were basically from Hoss all the way to 8th Avenue, right? You guys basically had that whole Florence corridor right there. That was your guys' hangout?
Well, it's hard to say the whole corner like that because it's intermittent. You're like, we was all buddies, and some lived over here, some lived, all in that west in the Crenshaw, Slauson, Florence area, But that's what made it so hard for us to keep on wanting to come together as one. We all knew each other, You might be staying on Wilton, there might be a bishop, and I might be staying on 8th Avenue as a bishop. In between, you got a lot of Crips. They go to 4th Avenue, which is in between both of them. You got the Leaders.
Who was your main partners as the bishops? Who were your road dogs as a bishop?
Big Duck, Steve, Little Duck, we just talked about.
Where did Baby Basic Motorhouse fall in at?
Right there.
They were bishops too?
Right there.
So you said Herman Monterey, he didn't fall underneath the bishops.
I can't say. I made a wrong mistake.
But his older brother did.
His older brother did. Kennedy. And like I say, it was a short period of time. I would say 6, 7 months most,
It wasn't even a year.
It wasn't even a year?
No, it wasn't even a year.
Was Big Rick a part of your guys' original bishop crew, or he was separate from that?
No, he wasn't part of that.
So
Face went to camp and met Rick. Face met Big Rick in camp. And when they got out, we started going over on